All right, we're back. Peace, everybody. I'm Bleak Nelson, and welcome back to another installment of Scarecrow's Chamber. Today, we're in the realm of cinema, and I would like to talk about a featured film that really has made I guess you could say, imprint on my brain. It was one of the very early films I saw at a very young age. I was around probably about maybe 6, 7 years old, and it was a film. Well, first it was actually a book. It was written by Michael Crichton. And when you hear the name Michael Crichton, you probably know what I'm alluding to. And this film is called Jurassic Park, written by Michael Crichton in 1990. Now, for those who may not be familiar with it, let me just, fill you in with the cliff notes. In 1990, Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment bought the rights to Crichton's novel Jurassic Park before it was published. The book was successfully as Steven Spielberg's 1993 adaptation. Now, the film's pretty much centered around what it would be like if modern man would be brought alongside with the dinosaurs. I mean, that was pretty much the idea behind it. Now, Michael Crichton, he believed that the only way that he can conceive such an idea would be a way that would be brought through in a form of entertainment. So that's when you watch the film. It was pretty much set as a theme park. If you would just bring back dinosaurs in 1993, 1990, around that time, who would really care unless it would be brought into some form of entertainment. They'd probably be amazed, obviously, you know, the resurrection of these extinct animals for millions and millions of years ago. But that's what Michael Crichton believed, that he thought it would be the best way to be conceived would be a form through entertainment, and who will pay for it. But man, I tell you, man, like this was a film early on that was just coming off the I guess you can say the because back in the 1980s you had films like Alien and stuff like that, and those films used puppeteers and stuff like that, and animatronics and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, in Jurassic Park you do see that, but it was one of the first films, along beside another film which I'll talk about in another episode, Terminator, where the stop motion animation was going into the digital age. And that was actually Steven Spielberg's original vision for the film. How they were going to get the dinosaurs to appear in the loose shots, how were they going to get them to run, was going to be the old-fashioned way, through stop motion animation, the way that Willis O'Brien did the original King Kong film. He used stop motion animation back in those days, where you would just have a little maquette. Now, maquette is pretty much a miniature model of the figure. You put the maquette on a little small armature. The armature are those little metal things that you attach the maquette on, and you would just move the maquette millimeter at a time. So that was going to be the original idea. And another guy by the name of Harry Harrison, forget his last name, but he was known for all of those big monster movies back in the day. Like the 40s, 50s, and 60s, stuff like that. All of those old school stop motion animation. So that was going to be the original idea, until he came across a guy by the name of he was hired by Mr. Spielberg. I believe his name was Dennis Muren, who worked at ILM Studios, and he was the one who showed Mr. Spielberg this example of how the dinosaurs could look in the digital age. And the very first thing that he showed him was an example of Gallimimus, just a skeletal structure of the Gallimimus just running. And that's when Mr. Spielberg decided, okay, that's what the film is going to be. That's what it's going to look like. So it really bridged the gap, everything from stop motion into the digital age. And when you just the cinematography alone, obviously me being a little kid seeing this picture for the first time, it was absolutely amazing. I know some people might say it's probably a little dated to these days, but I'm a firm believer that if you can get something live, why not? because just like once somebody said, the best acting becomes from reacting, and I do believe that's one thing that is kind of missed in terms of modern cinema nowadays. Everything is CGI now, and when they're CGI, the actors obviously can't see what they're reacting to, so they have to honestly double act. I guess you could say you're acting out the emotion, but you're also acting as if something is there. And as a viewer, and especially growing up watching films that had a lot of animatronics and stuff there, where the actors can react to them and act with them, it does take a lot away, at least from my point of view. I enjoy the animatronics. You know, I don't think the film Alien would probably be viewed the same if it was just all CGI. I mean, obviously, it probably would still be well played, but I don't know. It just takes a lot away when you get rid of the animatronics completely. But Jurassic Park, you had great actors like Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum and Sam O'Neill and the great Richard Attenborough, Dickie Attenborough, and the great child actors. I forget their names, but it was just great. I mean, I would say probably the most memorable scene for me when I first saw it, it for sure had to be the beginning when you see the T Rex for the first time, and that was another brilliant idea of Mr. Spielberg, because when he spoke to a guy named by the name of Stan Winston. Stan Winston was a guy who had a shop and all these guys working underneath him, and they were the animatronic guys. They were the ones who made all of the puppet designs and all that stuff. They were the guys who really had to, work in unison to make these puppets come to life and stuff like that. So he when you see the scene is obviously in the rain. It's pouring down rain. Now, Stan Winston said that those animatronics were not designed for water, so he didn't really know how the puppets were going to react if they, got water, you know, if they made contact with any water. And Mr. Spielberg thought that would be a better idea to have the road attack in the rain, because you won't see the T Rex as well, and it would just look. And I agree with him. It was much better. If you were to look at this scene, like if it took place in the daytime with no rain, but then you change it to night and rain, I think that the emotions were really really heightened. Just beautiful cinematography. The one scene where Lex is looking through the window with the flashlight, and T Rex comes down, and the pupils, get really small and stuff like that. It's just, and another thing, obviously, we don't know how the dinosaurs possibly sound. But there are a lot of scientists and stuff like that saying that it's a good chance that the dinosaurs probably really didn't make the noises that you really hear in the film, obviously. But if the dinosaurs just walking around, kind of more silent, or they really didn't make the noises that we knew that they were known for just by watching the films. For example, they use a plethora of different type of animals to get the sounds for the dinosaurs. For example, the T Rex was actually a collection of different animals, like an elephant, like that screeching elephant sound that you hear, and it was also a lion, and I think it was also a alligator bellow, the bellow of the alligator. I believe it was a combination of those three animals. So it's crazy how when you really look at how it all came to be, going behind the scenes, and also the scene where you see the Barbasol Cannon, Wayne Knight's character. I forget his name. What's his name in the film? Dennis something. Dennis. I forget his name. I know it was Dennis, but he was going to take all of the dinosaur embryos and he was going to put it into this little Barbasol can. But with the guys, what they were able to do with that, they just went to like a general store, because I think they filmed it down in Costa Rica or something like that, somewhere down there. And then one of the guys said there was like just like a general store that he just ran into, and he went in there and just saw like this shaving cream prop, and then they put a little mechanism inside it, and that's how they came up with that. And also another memorable scene, like before the T Rex appears, you see you hear the footsteps, and then you see the shaking of the water. and how they were able to do that. They One of the guys said that he used like a guitar to get the acoustics and stuff like that. It was something I can't remember exactly what he said, but the, like, the crashing of the trees, that they said they just went to a bowling alley and they started rolling the balls against the pin. So when you hear the crashing of the trees and stuff like that, the crashing of the bones and all that stuff, that's how they were able to do it. And it's crazy of how the Velociraptors, when you first see them, the impact they made in that film. And another memorable scene when they show when they show that the feeding scene, I guess you could say, when they're lowering the steer down into the raptor compound, and you don't even see it, but you just hear it. They hear the agony of the the agony of the steer, and then the raptors is just chewing it up, and it's just crazy. And then they cut to that one shot where Hammond is looking at Alan's face, and he kind of gives like a little smirk or like a little grin and stuff like that. It just little scenes like that play really really nicely. And what was also said is that they said during the shooting there was actually a hurricane that hit the island. Hurricane Yaniki, I believe the hurricane was called. It's a big hurricane that hit the island, and that was a hell of an experience for them as well. And also another big actor by Samuel L. Jackson, he was in there, made an appearance in there before he became a the big leading man that he is today. Yeah, just a lot of memories. The T Rex chase. Um, I mean, I would say, the T Rex chase was big, and I remember going down to Universal Studios. This was way back then. Going down to Universal Studios, and I mean, this is back when, I haven't been to Universal Studios in probably decades. I mean, it's been a long time now. But when I went down there, I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, the Twister attraction was still down there. That's how long ago it's been. But there was this Jurassic Park water ride that was down there when I went there. And when we were in a little boat ride, you see all of the animatronics, all of the different dinosaurs, and then that one part right before you go down the hill and you splash all the people that just sitting down there waiting for you on the bridge. There was like a big animatronic T-Rex there, and it just, even though it's not real, you do suspend your disbelief a little bit when you see just the teeth and the eyes and stuff like that. It's very, very crazy how your mind plays tricks on you, even though it's not real, but it still creates that feeling that maybe it could be real. And I would say probably Jeff Goldblum, he had a line that's probably to a lot of people's opinion, probably the best line in the movie, where there's a scene where they stumble, they come across, because like they're pretty much going through the attraction of the park when all of the cast gets there. They're going through this attraction, and they come across a sick triceratops, and of course Alan and everybody gets out the car to check and see what's going on. And it's the scene where Goldblum's character, Ian Malcolm, where he comes across a huge mountain of, let's say, excrement, and he says, I quote, "That is one big pile of shit." So that. I mean, that is probably like the most memorable line, or probably the most funniest line in the whole movie. I mean, I would say Jeff Goldblum's character Ian Malcolm probably had all the best lines in the film. And I take to his character probably more than anybody else's, because when he discovers what John Hammond did, how, because when they first get there, they ask how did Hammond did what he did. So they see this this short film that shows what exactly happened, how all of these miners, because in the beginning of the film you see all these miners, and they collect this amber that's been hardened, and then there's a mosquito found in it. So what the short film talks about, they extracted blood samples that the mosquitoes were feeding on from the dinosaurs millions of years ago. So the mosquito, will feed, just like today, they will feed off the blood of animals, dinosaurs, and so this mosquitoes would land on the branch of a tree and they would get stuck in the tree sap. And for all those years, centuries, the sap got hardened, but the mosquito was still in there. So when they extracted that blood, technically they found dinosaur DNA from the mosquito. And also, the film said that they used frog DNA to fill in the gene sequence caps, and then they mutated it with the genetic code, but they blended it with the frogs and stuff like that. So it was crazy how they actually did it. And Goldblum's character believed that. I mean, his whole argument was, yeah, we could do this, yeah, we can do it, but the question we should ask ourselves is, should we do it? Because obviously, I mean, these were, obviously magnificent animals, but not all of them were friendly. I mean, you had herbivores, you had carnivores. I mean, I always said that after I watched that film, I always said, like, maybe you just bring back the herbivores and not the carnivores, because the carnivores were the problem. The carnivores were the ones killing everybody. But that was his big argument, and also another important detail that was said by one of the scientists there, that all of the animals on the island were female. So there was no possible way that they can breed on their own. And that was another big thing. But and there was another, but they come across like these dinosaur eggs when they're walking out in the wild. And another important line that Dr. Alan Grant, he says, life found a way, because it was a callback to what Goldblum's character said: life will find a way. It doesn't matter if you know, control all their chromosomes and stuff like that. Life found a way, because the frogs that they use, there were some. Grant was saying that there were certain West African frogs that are known to change sex between male to female in a single sex environment. So that kind of proved the argument of what Ian Malcolm was saying, that life will find a way, and obviously that they did. It was crazy. That was, that was probably like the most important discovering that the dinosaurs were breeding, and that called back to what Malcolm was saying, that life will find a way. Because you can't control nature. Nature, will find a way. So that was a big argument from Malcolm's case. And when you obviously chaos erupts and all the dinosaurs are loose, and the raptors get loose and they're raising hell. The T-Rex gets loose, they're raising hell. And I'm telling you, man, I don't. Yeah, I think I did see it in the theaters when I was little, when I was a kid. I don't know. Yeah, I believe I did. And like I said, the memories were kind of like very vague for me because I was so young. But I do remember seeing it in the theater, and just the nonstop action, the people yelling and screaming and stuff like that. For example, the scene where the lawyer gets eaten by the T-Rex, which was a hell of a thing. And also when you discover that in the beginning, because when Dr. Grant says the difference between the T-Rex and the Velociraptors is that the T-Rex's vision was based on movement, which means if you don't move, he'll kind of lose you. But the Raptors weren't like that way. The Raptors kind of like function in packs, and they would never really attack you dead on, but from the side. You think that you only see one raptor coming at you from one side, and then another one is coming at you from the other side. So they showed examples of that. The scene where I forget the guy's name, where is a scene where Ellie and one of the guys are trying to get to the maintenance compound because of all of the power that's been shut down all across the park. So they had to get to the maintenance compound to power up the park again. So Ellie gets to the compound, and then the guy is still hunting for the raptors in the wild. And there's this shot where he sees one raptor close by, straight ahead, but he didn't see the one that was going to attack from the side, and that's how they got him. And it goes back to like everything. It's crazy because like everything that the characters talk about early on, you kind of see them play out in as the film goes on. I mean, it's just great writing, great storytelling, great emotion, great cinematography. And me personally, I still think it holds up. I still watch it from time to time. And obviously, We had many other Jurassic Park films that came out after that. You had The Lost World and Part 3 and Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, and I've seen all of them. I've seen all of them. But for some reason, I think a lot of people will agree is that for some reason it just doesn't stand like the first one did. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of nostalgia, or maybe it's just because it was the original. But I had no problem with all of them as a whole. I'm kind of easy on film anyway. I'll just watch it and just be entertained because I can watch films for different reasons. I can watch it for technical reasons and cinematography reasons and stuff like that. So I can get joy just by watching a film in a multitude of ways. But yeah, man, it was a hell of a thing, a hell of a idea for. I don't know if Mr. Spielberg conceived this on his own because obviously it was a book first. I don't know if somebody came to him about it, or was this some? Because I remember he said, during his childhood, his dad would take him to a natural history museum. I believe in Philadelphia. I believe there was a large dinosaur exhibit where they had all the dinosaur bones and stuff like that. And he said that it was very important for him to direct that film as a child because that's where the memories started. Started when he was very very young. So he said he was very much a kid when he directed that film, and that was pretty much the philosophy that he used. And he just wanted to make a film for all of the dinosaur fans out there because, what he also said, the first long words that you hear as a kid are like prehistoric words like Tyrannosaurus or Stegosaurus or Dilophosaurus and stuff like that. Just those are like the big words you hear at a very young age, especially when we used to learn about the dinosaurs in school and all that stuff. So he was very much a kid when he directed that feature, and it really, really shows. I mean, obviously, it kind of shows with E.T. as well. I mean, Steven Spielberg is by far, one of my favorite all-time directors because his films they just have just a sense of wonder and such a sense of magic attached to him. You could really see that he really, really cares. He is art first all the way. You really, really can see it. And not much I can really say. Oh yeah, I will talk about that one scene. The scene about Dennis, played by Wayne Knight. I believe his name is Dennis. But it was a scene where he, collected all the embryos and he was, going to, basically ship them for profit, for money, right? So he was on his way to the docks, and he ran off the road because saying the weather is pouring down rain, so you can barely see and stuff like that. But there's another famous scene where he comes across the Dilophosaurus, the dinosaur that you didn't see in the beginning because I guess it just wasn't around during the tour. But later that night, he runs into that dinosaur, and he kind of like treats it like it's a dog. He picks up a stitch and trying to get it to fetch the stick and stuff like that. And the funny thing about it is the truth about Dilophosaurus, when you see, like, I don't even know what you call it, but like just the fans around the neck and the dinosaur like spit toxins at him and stuff like that. In reality, the Dilophosaurus didn't do that. It didn't have like the fans and it didn't spit at you. But that was all. That was all Mr. Spielberg's idea. He wanted to have a dinosaur that kind of, I guess you could say, heightened when it came to the actual attack. But the Dilophosaurus really didn't do that. It didn't really have the fans. It didn't spit at you. But like I said, when we were little kids, who the hell really knew what was what? We just accepted what we saw. But it was a good call on his part because, like I said, if the Dilophosaurus just attacked him like a regular raptor would, it probably wouldn't have been as memorable. Because once you see the T-Rex kind of overshadows a lot of the dinosaurs. Once you see the T-Rex, it's because it is the ultimate predator out of all of the dinosaurs. But the raptors turn out to be the true villains. And the reason why I say that because at the end, when the cast they're getting cornered by the raptors, and then out of nowhere the T-Rex kind of shows up. So the whole time everybody's running from the T-Rex, this big creature trying to eat him, and it kind of saves them unintentionally at the same time because I guess it's that whole macho thing, that whole Barada thing. Like it's the food chain, it's the survival of the fittest. The strongest will survive and the weakest will die off. So that was the kind of you know the reaction that I got from it, even back when I saw it as a kid, because it was all the carnivores were all the bad guys, but then the T Rex takes both the raptors out, and I love that famous shot at towards the end of it where the T Rex gives that huge roar, and then you see the banner come down that says "When dinosaurs ruled the world" or something like that. That was kind of like a callback to like King Kong. I think that was what Mr. Spielberg intentionally did. It was kind of like a callback to King Kong, where King Kong was like roaring and stuff like that on top of the Empire State Building. But yeah, man, Jurassic Park, man, it was really really a hallmark for it. It really really was a monumental moment in cinema, period. Because, like I said, it bridged the gap between stop motion, animatronics, and then going into the digital age. It was one of the first films that really, really perfected the digital. And I will talk about another film that did that right after this one. And put another scene that really was memorable for me. The scene where they're climbing up the fence because the power's off, and these were electrified fences. So, Alan and then the kids had to climb up, and of course, Tim, he didn't make it down completely all the way. So, meanwhile, Ellie, because like I said, this is where these two scenes intertwine. Ellie's at the compound trying to get the power turned back on, and she's getting attacked by a raptor in there. But before that happens, she's cutting all the power on it, and she turns the power onto the perimeter fence, and Timmy is still holding on to the fence, and he gets electrified. That was a hell of a scene to see right there. I mean, that was really a butt kicking for Tim right there, and that was also a memorable scene. But yeah, man, it's just so many memorable scenes, just great fun, action, and a lot of tension too, because the tension between Goldblum's character and Dern's character, when Goldblum's character really doesn't, like Malcolm doesn't know that Ellie and Grant are together. So that was kind of a nice dynamic too in terms of tension and stuff like that. But it was just an all around great film, fun film. I would definitely say one of the greatest films ever made, because of the 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 freshness around it in terms of the technology, because it was going away from the stop motion and into the digital age. So that film was monumental for that reason, and that reason alone. Not just because it was a great story, but from a technical standpoint, it changed films forever. And I will talk about another film that did that as well. But yeah, man, Jurassic Park. For those who may not have been born when that film came out, or just haven't given it across, I highly recommend you see it. It is a great film, great story, great cinematography, technical, everything. I mean, it's just the perfect film. Jurassic Park. But all right, y'all, let me sign off. As always, it's your boy Bleak, and I will see you next time. Keep yourself well out there. Pay your bills, pay your rent, do whatever you gotta do to keep your head above water out here, man. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace. Us.